Chapter 9 Super Saiyan 2 Unleashed. The Galaxy soldiers all turned their attention toward their foe, unsure they were really seeing this. They were all a little confused at what just happened. One moment he was down on the ground practically dead, and now he was back to his feet. To make matters worse, he was once again in his golden state, except it was different than last time. There was also electricity of some sort emanating from his body. None of them had an explanation, but they didn't really care. The fight of them would simply have been more fun torturing him. Spike walked out from hiding and walked over to Twilight, trying to wake her up. Even though he was afraid he wasn't gonna let her die, Drake could tell she was injured, but it didn't look too bad. Tears came to his eyes as he did his best to rouse her, but she just wouldn't move. Things went from bad to worse as he glanced up and noticed an energy ball heading his way. Drake froze. He wanted to move, but he just couldn't, so he immediately covered his face and waited for the inevitable. But to his surprise, he didn't get hit by it. Slowly uncovering his eyes, he saw Gohan standing in front of him. Before Spike could even try and thank him, he was grabbing and moved to a nearby cliff. The Super Saiyan then moved to each of his other friends, grabbing them and bringing them to the same spot. He also gave them each a bit of his energy, hoping it would be enough to heal them. Once they were all safe, he saw he rose in the air and flew over to his foes. Spike was completely shocked, as evidenced by his extremely wide eyes. His friend had moved from one place to the next in no time at all. He had tried to follow his movements, but he just couldn't. One moment he was sitting on the cliff, and the next he's way over near Applejack. And they even remembered that was that fast. Just as he heard his friends and the princess waking up from unconsciousness. "Is everybody okay?" Twilight asked as her friends and her former mentor rose through their hooves. "Yeah, I think so," the Shamir answered. "You mean aside from getting smacked by a space alien?" Rainbow asked sarcastically as she did some stretching. "My everything hurts," Pinky whined. It was then that they noticed Gohan was back to his feet, and he was once again a Super Saiyan. Although he didn't look quite the same as last time. "Everybody has to see this too, right?" Rarity asked. They all nodded. "How can Gohan possibly be standing after the beating he took?" Applejack questioned. "I'm not sure, but let's hope he can finally put an end to this," the Princess of the Sun stated. The Super Saiyan stood there as electricity sparked from his body. His eyes were narrowed as he was constantly angry. "I know you're kind, and you think it wasn't just taking the plan you want," Gohan said in angry tone, causing Bojack to laugh. "But you forgot one thing. I'm my father's son!" He shouted as a huge burst of energy was released from his body, making the entire area around him shake violently. Everybody could feel the ground shaking and watch as several pillars of light sprouted from the ground. They were sure that every point in Candlelight could feel shaking as well. When it finally stopped, the lead space pilot tried his best not to worry. He had to admit, though, that this was quite an impressive display. He gritted his teeth as he motioned over to his henchman. "Goku, take care of him." Goku charged the young warrior with his sword already drawn. He swung it at his foe's head and shattered upon impact, leaving the alien completely shocked. Before he could even react, he was hit flat with a kick to the head. The sword-wielding alien got up and noticed his foe slowly walking towards him. In response, he began to power up. His hair turned red and his skin became bright green. His black shirt was destroyed and his muscle mass increased. He was now staring down the young warrior with a look of determination in his eyes. Bojack was murdering himself along with his crew. There was no way that anyone could stand to a full-powered Kogu. The newly powered alien dashed towards his opponent, ready to make him beg for mercy. With a mighty cry, he threw a punch, only to miss the same entirely. He gritted his teeth as he threw another fist. Much like last time, though, he hit only the air. The space pilot grabbed before unleashing flurry blows onto his foe. While his speed and power increased, it wasn't nearly enough. Every punch and kick was dodged, and it seemed like his foe wasn't even trying. That fact made Kogu even angrier than before. He just couldn't understand it, though. When they fought before, they were somewhat close in power. Now, though, he was totally outclassed. Meanwhile, the Super Saiyan was nonchalantly blowing the fun of the blows coming his way. He had more than enough power to finish off not only him, but all the aliens. Yet before finishing them, he wanted to make them suffer a little bit. They had all caused him a lot of pain, and they hurt his friends. He wanted to see the look of fear in their eyes when they realized it was hopeless. After that, he would kill them all. "Is it just me, or does something seem different about Gohan?" the Pro Mayor asked. "Yeah, his hair's all pointy and he's all sparkly. Or sparky," Pinky exclaimed, referring to the electricity emanating from his body. She made a man not to ask him how he does it, because she personally thought it looked pretty cool. Flashy looked up from her cowering for a second, and one look at Gohan made her hide again. This was the same Gohan she had befriended. Normally he was calm, friendly, nice, and happy. But now he looked angry, almost bloodthirsty. It was like he suddenly became a whole different person, and that scared her the most. Gohan was the happy-go-lucky kid, and in his place was a savage warrior. Could this be another transformation? Main6 wondered. Top put her hoof on her chin. I know he has at least one transformation, but perhaps he had a second one all along. That may be the case. Early in the fight, Gohan was barely holding his own, but now he's winning, Princess Slice noted. I'm not sure how it happened, but we should count ourselves lucky that it did. Every pony nodded at that statement. The scales were tipped in his opponent's favor, and this was something Goku hated. Even at full power, he couldn't even touch the brat. Once again, it made him very angry. He then fired several energy blasts at his foe, creating a huge cloud of smoke. The alien smirked at his handiwork. His smirk would fade though, because once the smoke cleared, his opponent was still there, completely unscathed. I don't know how you got so powerful, but one way or another you will bow to Bojack. The next thing he knew was punched through his stomach. He stayed much for a few moments before throwing up blood and bile. And even after the fist was removed, he still couldn't move. All he could do was float there, hunched over in pain. This left him unable to defend himself as the Saiyan sliced him in half with a single kick. His double lower house blew up in a cloud of smoke mere seconds after. The Galaxy soldiers looked on horrified. Not only was their comrade defeated, in one blow no less, but it was actually ripped in half. They had never seen anything like that before in their lives. With Goku gone, there were only 4 aliens left. The Super Saiyan then turned his attention towards other soldiers, ready to take them on next. Slowly he descended onto the ground. Upon doing so, he grinned at seeing the horrified grins. Looks. Bojack clenched his fist in rage. Bujan, Bito, Sengia, take care of him, he commanded. His remaining 3 henchmen charged at their foe. They all began attacking him at once, but this time they weren't getting any hits in. Their opponent was able to avoid every hit. This both confused and angered them. Before they would have been too much for him to handle, but now they were no match for him. It just didn't make any sense. After a few moments, they were blown away by yet another powerful shout. They didn't realize the psycho thread might work, so they used it. At first it seemed like it was working, due to the fact that their foe wasn't moving. To their horror though, the young warrior was unaffected by the thread. He was able to move. Sengia looked on horror as her foe walked over to her. She quickly stopped using the thread and flew into the air. In desperation, she shot a barrage of energy blasts at him, and she seemed to have hit a mark. When smoke cleared, he was gone. She assumed that she had defeated him, but she also doubted that it was that easy. The space pirate turned around and her foe was right behind her, making her scream in panic. Within a second, he swung his arm, cutting her in half like he did with Koju. Scared for their lives, Bujan and Bito flew away from the battle. It may have been cowardly, but they didn't care. There was no way either of them was going to stand a chance. They each sounded relieved that they weren't being pursued, but their happiness would soon fade. A few seconds later, the foe soon passed them, putting themselves in front of the 2 aliens. Before either could react, their foe turned around. Bujan's head was promptly punched off of his body, and he too exploded into nothingness. Bito stood there frozen as his foe blasted him in his point-blank rage, which killed him in seconds. With the rest of the henchmen taken care of, Gohan flew down towards his final target. Bojack was the last one left, and he was not happy at what just happened. His army had been defeated. He would make sure that the Saiyan paid for what he had done. Impressive. You managed to kill my men. But I've yet to show you my true power. He exclaimed as he began powering up. As he unleashed his power, his hair turned red, and his skin became a brighter shade of green. His muscles bulked up, and as so, his coat ripped off. So are you scared? The powered-up pirate asked with a grin. Despite his faults increase in power, the Super Saiyan wasn't really worried. Is that all you got? Gohan asked in a plain voice. Bojack charged and went in for the punch, but his foe had vanished. He looked up and saw his foe high in the air. The alien gritted his teeth and flew upwards. Once in range, he went on the offensive, throwing punches and kicks rapidly. He tried his best to hit his opponent, but he was unable to. The more Bojack missed, the angrier he got, making him miss even more. Eventually, he was socked in the jaw, and then kicked in the chest. Before he could even start recovering, the back of his head was assaulted by his foe's knee. The blow to his head sent Bojack flying towards the ground, and his body created a huge crater in the ground. Every opponent was beyond shocked. Gohan was successfully fighting off all of his attackers. They still didn't get how their friend had turned the tide. The most impressive part about it was that he was literally ripping the aliens in half with his attacks. And it seemed like he was barely putting any kind of effort in it. I can't believe that Gohan is winning. The scales have tipped in his favor, this princess' son stated. Yeah, it's a shame he has to kill them though, Twine lamented. Even though the aliens were evil, they didn't deserve death. Well, they probably did. That didn't mean that the mayor was in favor of killing them. He would much rather things reach a more peaceful conclusion, even if the odds of that were slim to none at this point. I know, my faithful student. I'm sure all of you aren't used to seeing murder, but there is no other choice in this case. Those ants would kill all else if they had their way. So the only way to ensure the safety of every pony, they have to die. The other merely nodded. I guess you have a point there, Abject noted. Do you think Gohan would teach me how to rip things and how like he did to those aliens? Rainbow asked, receiving several glares from her friends. What? With slight effort, the space pirate stood up from the rubble. He didn't have time to be angry because his foe was standing in front of him. Fearing the worst, he quickly extended his arm and fired a huge beam of energy, engulfing his opponent within it. Ha ha ha! Let's see you survive that! Bojack taunted, praying that would be enough. With the smoke cleared, Gohan was still standing there as if nothing had happened. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared, blowing himself right behind his foe. Quickly spinning around, he kicked the alien side of the head. The same flew towards his skyward foe and quickly caught up with him. He then let loose a flurry of punches and kicks, hammering the power with both speed and power. A few seconds later, the Super Saiyan grabbed his opponent by the arm and threw him high into the air. Then a moment later, he dashed upwards and kicked him back down to the ground. He then started descending on the ground. What's wrong, Bojack? Am I too strong for you? Gohan asked in a sadistic voice. The space pirate gritted his teeth as he charged at his foe, ready to swipe that smug look off of his face. Unfortunately, he was still unable to land a blow. After one of his kicks was blocked, his foe's fist was rammed to his gut, stopping any and all momentum. It wasn't any better even after the arm was removed from his stomach. He may have been close to death, but that wouldn't stop him from doing one last attack. He took a few steps back before preparing his attack. You fool! Any last words before you die? Blood flew out of his mouth as he coughed. He ignored this and held his hands out in front of him, charging up energy within his palms. He then spread his arms out wide, splitting up the energy and having a spear in each hand. Actually, Bojack, there's one word that comes to mind. He placed his hands at his side and began charging his counterattack. Kamehameha. The Saiyan unleashed a huge Kamehameha wave, countering his foe's attack. The beam smelled with a huge explosion, creating a blinding light in the process. The two then charged at each other. As soon as they reached one another, Gohan flew right into the pirate, using his fist to make an entry. That last punch to their body was a finishing blow, and soon after Bojack's body was completely destroyed. He had successfully defeated his foe, and he had saved Equestria. He did it! Gohan won! Princess Celestia stated in complete awe. Every opponent paused for a moment before erupting with cheers. The dreaded battle was finally over, and their friend had won. Most importantly, he was still alive. After taking a good while to celebrate, they ran over to their friend. When they got to him though, they paused. This was their first look at him up close, and they felt a little scared. He looked like he was really angry, which wasn't at all like him. Meanwhile, he simply stood there as sparks kept emanating from his body, noting how scared his friends looked. A few seconds later, his fatigue and power loss caught up to him. Whatever adrenaline he had received before was gone. The same referred back to space form as he fell backwards to the ground. Gohan! Flashlight shouted. Need to get to the hospital! Rainbow stayed in slight panic. Without wasting time, Princess Celestia called upon her magic, making her horn glow bright gold. Moments later, they were teleported to the hospital. Once they got to the hospital, they brought Gohan to a room, and luckily he was able to get immediate treatment. After looking him over, the doctor said he would be fine. Sure, the Saiyan had received a good amount of injuries, but it was nothing they couldn't do. All the doctors needed was some time, and quite a bit of work. With that diagnosis done, the doctor told the concerned group that it would take a little bit and he would get them when it was over. Once they were gone, the doctor and nurse were able to get to work. After several long hours, the doctor came out the waiting room with a smile on his face. He told the ponies and Spike that their friend was all bandaged up and that they could see him now. Without saying anything to the doctor, they all boarded down the hallways towards the room containing their friend. Along the way, they nearly ran over a janitor, and he would have yelled at them if it weren't for the fact that Princess Celestia was in this mix as well. As they arrived at his room, they practically knocked the door down. Upon entering the room, they noticed their friend was awake, wrapped in tons of bandages, but awake. Gohan was still a little dazed from not only the battle, but from the operation he had just gone through. His eyes drifted off from the questionable hospital fool to who had just entered his room. A big smile graced his face upon seeing his friends. Using his free arm, he waved at them. Hey guys, what's up? Every point quickly went over gave him a big hug, making sure not to touch any of his injuries. They continued to embrace for what felt like hours, not wanting to let go. They were all really glad that he was alright. We were so worried about you, Gohan, Flash told with tears in her eyes. A frown appeared on his face. He had been so focused on the paddle that he didn't even think about how his friends would react. Of course, to him, ending up in the hospital after taking a serious beating wasn't new, but this was the first time his friends had seen him in that state. He could only imagine how they felt seeing his lifeless, bloody body. I didn't mean to make you guys worried, the young Saiyan said as the embrace ended. Gohan, that was awesome! Rainbow dashed out with pure excitement in her voice. His frown went away for a moment and he smiled at her. He continued doing so before wincing. So, what happened? The last thing he remembered was seeing his friends brought out on the battlefield, and then he got angry. Very angry. The Saiyan kind of figured he had defense to Super Saiyan 2, but his memories at that point weren't all that clear. Rarity moved closer to him. Those pirates were beating you up, so we came to help you, dear. We kind of lost, but then you powered up beat those ruffians. He looked over his body again and noticed just how bandaged his body was. Whoever fixed him up didn't spare any bandages, even though to him it seemed a little overkill. Then again, it was probably better to be safe than sorry. Against the wall was a shelf that had his boots and tattered clothes on it. It was hard to tell from his distance, but he had a feeling they weren't going to be wearable again. But he hoped that they weren't too tattered to be worn again. That was his only set of clothes since he didn't bring another. He didn't think it was going to need more than one. After that, you passed out on the ground, Abject explained. So we teleported you to the hospital. The doctor said you would be here for a couple of weeks, the pro-eloquent princess added. The half-Saiyan nodded. Of course, he didn't want to have to be cooped up in the house for a long time, but it could have easily been a longer stay. Maybe that's why Dad hates hospitals, he thought to himself as he tried to sit up, but it was proving to be difficult. Every point he noticed this and helped him lay back down. They didn't want him to hurt himself any further. You might want to take it easy for a while, Spike joked as he pointed to his friend's slinged arm. He glanced at his arm and chuckled slightly. There was no point in arguing. It was better to just take it easy. Oh well, I guess it could be worse. He was now wishing he had brought a senzu bean or two. Princess Celestia smiled at him. She was the most grateful out of all of them. Gohan, I would like to thank you on behalf of Equestria. You defended our plan from those pirates. All of Equestria is in your debt, and you have my gratitude and thanks, she told him as tears came to her eyes. And when you get back, there's going to be a thanks for saving the world party, Pig exclaimed while pouncing up and down, unable to contain her excitement. The only reason she held off on the party was because of the warning the hospital staff gave her the last time she tried throwing part in a medical facility. In response to the pink mare, he chuckled. After a tiny laugh, he turned towards the princess. No problem, Princess Celestia. I'm just glad I was able to beat those guys, he noted. If he hadn't unleashed his hidden power, then he would have died. And with him gone, the galaxy's soldiers would have been free to terrorize the entire universe. He didn't brood over those thoughts for long. The important thing was that they were no longer a threat. Now that was over, there was a question that had been in their minds since they regained consciousness. So, what's up with your hair, darling? It went from being upward spiky to upward spiky? Rarity asked. Yeah, and how about the cool lighting coming from your body? Rainbow added. He sighed, not really looking forward to explaining how he unlocked his hidden power. I'm sure Twilight told you about my Super Saiyan transformation. He received nods from everyone. Well, what you saw was my second Super Saiyan form. In that form, my feelings, sense of reason or anything else that might hold me back disappears. I basically become an unstoppable warrior who won't stop until the enemy can't fight back. Every point took that bit of information in. It was true that the Saiyan friend had changed, and it wasn't just his hair, his personality changed as well. One moment he was cheerful and calm, and the next moment he became a true warrior. It was scary to see him like that, but they knew that even if he went berserk again, he wouldn't hurt them. Well, we're just glad you're alright, Spike smiled. Yeah, I thought for sure I was gonna lose. When I saw you guys were hurt, I snapped. Took my friends getting hurt and the death of an innocent person to bring out my hidden power. That's what happened at the Cell Games. I was worried that you guys were gonna die and decided to stop holding back, he told them, all the while clenching his fists. You and Flasha have more in common than we thought. She also gets angry when her friends are in danger, the Saiyan Mayor noted. Twilight still had a question though. So, how did you become a Super Saiyan in the first place? Once again, the young Saiyan sighed. It was going to be a long afternoon. I think I should tell you my whole story, so you can all get a better understanding of who I am. Looking back, he probably should have told them this story right when he met them, but it did slip his mind. And it wasn't like he was dying to tell them either. They all nodded as he began telling them his tale, from his earliest memories to earlier today. Every point he listened intently as he began speaking. They were intent on listening to all of his stories. When told about Redis, the ponies and dragons were sad. He never heard of any pony getting kidnapped and held for ransom. The fact that that Half-Saint lost his father was like poison icing the cake to all of them. It would only continue to get rough when the rest of the Saints arrived. Tears came down their eyes as he told them that most of his friends died in the battle, and when he nearly lost his father again to Vegeta. Gohan then explained his Namek adventure, and how Frieza's men had slaughtered everyone. He could see tears go down their faces, and unfortunately for them, the story only became sad as it went on. The battle against the Ginyu Force of Frieza came next, and once again people died during these fights. The upside was that his father became a Super Saiyan and managed to beat Frieza once and for all. Trunks and the androids came next. There was only a small amount of peace in the world before it was under siege again. The fact that his father died in one timeline and almost died in another created more sadness and tears. Luckily, Goku survived the hard fires and lived on to join his son. The hyperbolic time change sounded throughout the points and dragon. They didn't think they would have been able to survive for a year in that place. Now it was the Cell Games, and this was the big one. The young Saint explained how his father fought Cell, but couldn't win, and the person he picked to take his place was him. He didn't want to fight Cell at all. The Half-Saint wanted to end things peacefully, but the android didn't listen. Cell did, however, listen to the story of Gohan's hidden power, and he was determined to bring it out. That resulted in Cell Jr.'s and Android 60 being killed, whose final words were to let it go. After unleashing his hidden power, Gohan easily defeated both Cell and his children, but as spin out Android 18, Cell tried to blow up Earth. When all hope seemed lost, Goku used his instant transformation. He saved the Earth but died in the process. If the ponies and drunken weren't crying hard before, they were now. They couldn't imagine losing any of their parents once or twice. Things went from bad to worse when Cell came back and killed Trunks. The young Saint then urged his arm, saving a raging Vegeta from a blast from Cell. Gohan thought about giving up, but his father told him to use the Kamehameha, and a beam struggle ensued. And after a hard struggle, Gohan managed to defeat Cell. And the Earth once and for all. And save the Earth once and for all, you should say. The Sea Fire then summoned Shinra and fixed the damage caused by Cell, including reviving everyone who the android had killed. Goku, however, didn't want to come back for fear of enemies coming to Earth again. The rest was history. And that's pretty much it. He looked around and saw that they were all trying very hard not to cause him in tears. They never knew that somebody could have such a rough childhood. Sure, some they could argue that their childhoods weren't ideal, but at least they got to live theirs. Their friend had spent most of his childhood training or finding people stronger than he was, never getting a chance to really be a kid. He couldn't have imagined going through what he went through. Wow, I never realized you've been through so much, Twice in a very sad tone. I used to be teased for not being able to fly, but I never went through anything like that. I'm sorry, Gohan. Flashlight walked over and gave him a really big hug. The tears were falling down her face more so than the others. I'm also very sorry, dear, the unicorn began, making every point turn towards her. Your father sounds like a wonderful person, and I made fun of his outfit. Please forgive me. The young saint chugged in spite of the sadness in the air. It's alright, Rarity. I know you weren't trying to be mean. You're right, my father was a great man. He was a great dad, and he always looked out for his family. Despite anything the universe could throw at him, he always rose to the challenge, no matter what. He kept on going. That's what inspires me to keep going. I know my father would want me to be strong for him. He looked up to the scene with a smile on his face, as if he was looking up to his deceased father. The strange part was that even if he went through so many trials and hardships, the Saiyan enjoyed his life. He almost always had a smile on his face, and nothing really got to him. And that made the Ponies and Dragon feel better. No matter what happened, he always looked on the bright side. After a few moments of reflection, they composed themselves. I think we better let Gohan get some rest, the Princess's son noted while walking out the door. Very well, Gohan. I'll be sure to all request your hearers of your heroic deed. Every pony else followed the Princess's example. Goodbye, Gohan. We'll be sure to visit. Big Pie yelled. See you around, Sugar Cube. Take care, dear. After saying their goodbyes, they all left the room. Except for a certain Pegasus. The shy man walked up to the bed, saying with more tears in her eyes. After everything he went through today, including the fairy sad story, Flashlight didn't feel right leaving him alone. While he may have been fine, she still wanted to be there for him. I wish I could stay here with you, but my animal friends need me. He could see how upset she was, and he figured his story didn't help much. He made a mental promise to do something nice for her when he got better. A way to show her that he was fine. It's okay, Fluttershy. I'll be fine, I promise. Fluttershy gave him one last hug. Thank you, Gohan. You're the best. She smiled before exiting the room. Right after she left, the same heard a familiar voice. Gohan, I'm so proud of you. Father? Gohan looked around and saw an image of his dad in the sky, and his dad was smiling down upon him. Thanks, Dad. The battle was finally over and Equestria was saved. Gohan truly has taken his first place as protector of the innocent. Hey guys, that was some chapter, huh? I tried to make the battle last a while, longer than in the movie. Let's face it, the fight could have lasted one paragraph and this chapter would be super short. Again, nothing really changed much in this chapter. I just added some more detail. Dialects. Well, I also added Gohan talk about his past. I did want to explain it at some point, and this chapter seemed fitting. I do believe that they would react how they did to the story. On and have a great day. Future Shock.